Welcome back to another episode of Hello Ladies, where feminism meets pro wrestling. We are your hostesses with the mostesses. I am Sabrina.
And I'm MJ.
And wrestling makes us happy most of the
Heck
time.
yeah, it does.
Quick disclaimer, most of the time.
With an asterisk.
Mhm. More so now that Vince McMahon is not directly involved.
So speaking of things in wrestling that makes us happy, I feel like that was a segue for something.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. So Sabrina and I were talking, and the current state of wrestling is so awesome. Why would we not want to talk about 3 things going on in wrestling right now that make us happy?
Yes. And of course, before we jump all the way in, please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, do your little dance, make your consensual love.
Get down tonight.
Get down tonight. And of course, happy Pride to all that celebrate.
Yes.
Which everyone should celebrate. If you're listening to this podcast and you're not at the very least an ally, I don't know how you got here.
Right. Yeah, that is kind of confusing.
Yeah.
It's also, you informed me of this. It's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So for also anytime that a man says to you, usually a straight white man, when's my month?
It's all you.
It's June 2. Boo.
I'm curious too, like for any men listening to this, what steps, what things you're doing for your mental health. Just I'm curious. I know it's not necessarily related to wrestling, but I'm
Wrestling
curious.
is self-care. My therapist
Yes.
told me that. So I'm giving you permission to say that too.
Do you want to mention what the context of that was with why your therapist said that wrestling is self-care? Speaking of El Diablo.
So I
Pulling straight from Sabrina's therapy records right now.
right. So let's forget about HIPAA. No, it's fine because I'd be the one telling the thing. So at some point when we were talking about all of my trauma, um and talking, I don't even remember if it was because I was struggling with who Vince McMahon is as a person. This was, like during quarantine. No, it wasn't during quarantine. It was like maybe 2021. Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like I was directly struggling with that or I was just talking or we got into wrestling because I was talking about how like I didn't have consistency in my childhood or life in general, like something that was always there or someone, I mean my mother, yes, but she died when I was youngish. So wrestling has always been that thing. And
Yeah.
of course, it went from me talking about that to me talking about how problematic Vince McMahon is and how like I sometimes struggle with all of that. And
Yeah.
she had said, wrestling very like just listening to how passionate you are about this one. She is also the one who told me to start a podcast. So that's
That's
where this
cool.
came from. And
Shout
then
out.
because it's important to take things that someone says, this is self-care for you, to then be like, I want to turn it into work.
Yeah, exactly. How can I put more of this on myself?
Yeah. How can I make this a little less healthy? Hmm? Um, yeah, she had said like, wrestling definitely counts as self-care because, it is something that I use as escapism, that and like reading books. So, but
Yeah.
I feel like that works for any wrestling fan though.
Yeah. And the reason I know that story is that when Sabrina and I first were becoming friends, I messaged her and I was so pissed. And it was just one of the many times throughout wrestling where Vince has just been a dick and pissed off everybody. Yeah. So I can't even pinpoint when in time this was, to be completely transparent. But I remember reaching out to Sabrina and just being like, fuck, sometimes I feel like I shouldn't watch WWE. Like, and then she told me that same story she just told all of us. So it's funny how I feel like I've been able to grow, like, we've grown our friendship so much because of things like this, you know? So it's funny how wrestling has been like this bridge with our friendship. I think that's pretty cool. But anyway, thank you for sharing that. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I was
Oh,
thinking about when you mentioned Vince earlier, it triggered that thought in my head.
yes, Vince, mental health. Yeah,
He's a trigger for all of us.
one way or another.
Yeah.
I hope everybody has a is having some good mental health, except for Vince McMahon.
Oh man.
That's
So
not
was
true.
Vince
There's other.
McMahon not being involved in wrestling one of the things on your list that makes you happy?
It should. It should have been on the list of things that I'm excited about in wrestling, but alas, earwax, it was not. Um, I guess, I mean, I can start off.
Yeah, go for it,
So
please.
I'll start off with the thing that, so when I made a list and then I put on some backup ones just in case we're excited about the same things. We have Flame
Yeah.
Brain, so that is always a possibility, but there's one on here that I know will not be on MJ's, and I'm going to share that right. Um, so I'm really excited about my local indie, Smash Masters Wrestling. Um,
Hmm.
and just like I love the energy of going to their shows, even though like so I went this past weekend with my friend Chelsea, and once again, let me just say again the mental health thing and like the self-care because my I found out that my aunt Sue died very unexpectedly this Thursday, and Sunday at that show was the first time that I felt normal again.
Yeah.
And just sitting there, like I was like after I got home, I was like, I wasn't sad this and that like for a solid few hours. This is wonderful.
Hmm.
I was like, and this is why I love one of the many reasons why I love wrestling. But yeah, they it's great because not only like am I excited about it, but my friend Chelsea is now gotten into specifically this indie. Like she doesn't watch anything
Yeah.
else. She just goes to this. And it started because she was like, why are you so excited about wrestling? I wanna see what this is about. And now she's just
Yeah.
like, I wanna see what happens next time.
Aw,
And I was
that's
like,
so fucking cool.
yes, you do. Haha. But Effie is coming to the next show, and I'm very excited to see Effie again, wearing my bussy shirt. Um,
Nice.
and I'm going to try my damnedest to get MJ a fan. Hopefully they'll have them. I mean, well, and the nice thing is it's going to be indoors and air conditioning. So
Yeah.
I
Well, thank
thought,
you.
yeah, I thought this time that I would run into somebody else who, or not somebody else, but like it was warm out and it was outside. So I was like, I'm gonna run into a stinky person for sure. And that surprisingly did not happen because we were sitting fairly far away from other human beings, like in as far as in an audience. So um
Yeah.
that is just what we've been lucky enough to do each time. Like her and I just sit on an island. So neither one of us has experienced a stank yet,
Stank.
which
Yeah,
I
you said
feel.
that you went to a GCW show, and didn't you tell me that somebody smelled like a candle, like or scented lotion or something nice next to you? I was like, that has not been in my I love GCW. This is not a smack on them, but that has not been my GCW experience.
Cinnamon roll. Someone smelled like a cinnamon roll. Like I almost started salivating. They smelled so good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oof, cinnamon rolls sound good right now.
Right? Hmm. Um, so yes, that is one of the things I'm excited about in wrestling, my local indie.
So my first thing I'm going to say is I've touched on this before on one of the past episodes, but um, I really get excited about the incorporation of social media with wrestling and
Mhm.
how it's evolved. Because I think back to 2016, your girl loves AJ Styles. AJ Styles' return was ruined for me. Not return, sorry, but him debuting in WWE was ruined for me And I was not very happy about it because of the internet, right? And I feel like, yes, wrestling fans, we still ruin things, dirt sheets, everything like that. It's very annoying, but it used to be something that either spoiled kayfabe, but now I feel like it's an extension and kind of makes fun of itself in a really satirical way that I enjoy. Like with a
Mhm.
lot of the Dominic Mysterio stuff with Liv Morgan going on right now is hilarious to me. Like her, like obviously you can be critical of that storyline for a multitude of reasons, but the fact that like the ways that they're embracing it, like her literally physically going and liking all of those posts and they do screenshots of them. Genius, like so good, you know. And then like the way Damian Priest is playing it up as like the concerned like bro, kind of like who's like, you got to stay away from this girl, you know. And like obviously all the Drew McIntyre and the Punk stuff has been great. I've touched on this before, but like the way that both AEW and WWE use exclusive online content to propel storylines in ways. So things that might not get screen time, it gives them more screen time eventually because they, depending on how much traction exclusive online content is going to get, they're going to devote more time on screen for that. And so I like that it kind of creates a full picture view, and we're not just seeing the same clips that we just saw on Dynamite or Collision or SmackDown uploaded. It's like we're seeing new exclusive content. So I really love that about wrestling right now, that they're using it to not only confuse the hell out of us with what's real and what's not, but they're also using it as an extension of storylines. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that kind of touches on, this is not one of the things, this is one of my backup things.
Mm-hmm.
I was so I wouldn't even necessarily say excited, but more thankful that AEW had the interview with where Renee was interviewing Chuck Taylor about
Yeah.
his injury, and because the match I think was a great way to like go out. However, like there was no like he didn't do a retirement speech or anything like that, and them
Yeah.
being him being one of the first wrestlers signed to AEW, that seems like a
Mm-hmm.
really shite thing to do.
Yeah.
Um, so, and I was also happy to hear that he's still employed and he's backstage doing the work and he still loves wrestling and all of that. Like, I just,
Yeah.
in case you did not know this already, I really enjoy Chuck Taylor. So I just want him because he reminds me of a little cinnamon roll. I want him to have a good little cinnamon roll life.
It's so funny that you love Chuck Taylor, because when I think of Chuck Taylor, I think of some of like the bloodiest independent matches ever. You know,
Mhm.
he is. I really enjoyed that interview too. But it does make me laugh because he's just had some really violent ass matches, and I feel like if somebody has a paper cut, you're like, stay the fuck away from me.
It's funny that you did this because that was me at the show on Sunday because I thankfully I saw it because it happened right in front of me. The one guy I saw, I was like, why is he pulling out his wrist tape? And then when
uh,
I was just like, he's about to blade her. She was halfway under the ring, and I was like, fuck. And so
uh,
I told my friend that, and like as I was going, she was like, she's really bloody. I'm like, yeah, I can almost guarantee I can tell you exactly where he cut her. Um,
uh, ouch.
yeah, and the friend I go with, like, actually, I'm not going to say her. Yeah, never mind. Um, well, I don't think anyone from there listens. So she's an athletic trainer,
Mm-hmm.
as like one of her things. And when we first get to the show, she's always looking around for like the medical person so she can like turn off
Yes,
that part of her brain. But
sure.
so she really appreciated the warning that like someone was going to be bleeding profusely and that it was planned.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, so the blood did not bother her. It was just me. She was laughing at me.
I almost didn't send you a trailer that I sent you, the because I was like, I don't know if this is too bloody or not, because there was a couple scenes that had some blood.
That was like funny blood for a lack of
Okay,
like that is very clearly like this is a special effect because blood doesn't fly like that. I don't know. I'm
okay, okay.
I'm able to like distance myself from it sometimes.
I'm assuming that in that like sword fighting scene. That's why Drew McIntyre shared that. I had to go back and watch and see whether that was him or not, but I'm assuming he's going to be in that.
Oh, he's definitely in that. He's one of the assassins. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited. I have not been that excited for an action movie in a long time. I'm very excited about that.
Two wrestlers? Two?
Yeah, I'm gonna like lose my shit.
Yeah. And I love both of them. One's a pit bull dad and one is a cat dad. Hell yeah. I don't even know who to root for.
I know, right? That must be a conundrum for you.
Very difficult. I lead a difficult life. It's always so I don't know if you have like how like in wrestling there's the trope of like the intellectual is the bad guy.
Sure, yeah.
I'm sure you have the same issue where I'm just like someone who likes to read and is smart, I want to cheer for them. They have some of the same interests as me. And then everyone's like,
Sure.
boo. They
Oh,
said a big word.
I mean, as a vegan, like
Yeah.
Danielson's entire run with that eco belt, I was like, this is the greatest fucking thing I've ever seen.
I am a vegan. Every time
So
you
good.
did that, I was like,
No, I know. Oh, I love it. It's so good.
yeah. But yeah, I always have that moment of like, can't we cheer for the smart person? That's why, like, I love one of the many reasons why I love Cody Rhodes. He's a baby
Yeah,
face, and he's like King baby face, and he uses all of the big words.
I know. I know. I love me some Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, he's uh, he's just so great with the kids and with everything. He was
Yeah.
made, absolutely made to be the face of a company.
So that was my number three.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, MJ.
No, no, no. I could always think of something else too, but I as you started, I was like gonna say, oh, a good transition here, and then you filled in all the blanks that I wanted to say anyway. Like, any, you didn't know. So Sabrina, this is how you know our podcast is authentic because we don't talk about intentionally. We want to keep it interesting and exciting for us too. We don't want to know what's coming, and so I never know what Sabrina's gonna say next. This is why our podcast episodes are always so long. We don't know what's gonna come out of our mouths. It just happens.
Yeah, earlier today, MJ was just like, I don't know if we're gonna have enough content. And I was like, I have all of the faith in us that we will go for a while.
Oh God. But I will say a couple last things on Cody though. Seeing the things that he does not only at live shows for kids, like lifting them up and putting them up like during like the whoa, like it's awesome, but also like him showing really good, like being a really great ambassador of the WWE brand. He's a great face for that company, and him showing like the number of weight belts that people already pre-ordered and signed before the doors even open is incredible. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
I don't, I mean, I can understand why you might think Cody would be boring, right? Because some people just really don't like a strong baby face, and I get that. But you can never say that that man is not devoted and not just like the nicest human ever. So,
100%. 100%. And like, so I feel like the last time we had a baby face that was because Cody's a little rougher around the edges, like because he's done and will do like the harder core
mhm.
matches. Um, John Cena is like the other one that you think that I immediately think of who was really great with the kids, went above and beyond, sold all the merch, da 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 da. Da. Not
Yeah,
to say like, I mean, Roman did a lot, but he was a heel, so like that wasn't.
sure.
Although anytime you saw him like backstage with a little kid, like that one right out the window. But
I know.
so cute. Um, but with John Cena, I always liked his in-ring work, but that's what people would complain about, the five moves of doom. With Cody, he has a much wider repertoire, I feel. Although, the IWC, there'll be something. There will be something. We can't
Sure.
like something for too long. Otherwise, it's meh, meh, meh. But that is
Mm-hmm.
going into things we don't like about wrestling, so I'll cut myself off there.
We don't want to give them the power, Sabrina.
No, no negativity today, even though
So
I've.
what else? What else is on your list, lady?
So I am still really excited and hopeful about the WWE TNA crossover.
Hell
Um,
yeah, that's a
and
good one.
what that's going to bring us, especially with like Ethan Page popping up. And he has said that he is not signed anywhere. I don't believe him. I think he is signed and he is going to bounce back and forth between WWE and I almost said an NXT. Well, but yes, NXT and
TNA.
TNA, yes. Because it makes sense for him to do that because there's like some history with folks there and just perfection. Obviously, like Jordan Grace, I'm excited for that door to swing both ways, as one might say. Um,
Yes,
because
during Pride Month, that feels very apt to say that.
yes, yeah, because there are so many people that like would love to see face people in TNA, but those
Yeah.
people wouldn't necessarily fit in WWE.
Hmm.
So they probably won't be hired at least right now. However, and like the people in WWE aren't going to voluntarily leave and take a lower paying gig. Um,
Yeah.
these people that we want to see face each other, they can still make their WWE money and
Yeah.
face the people in TNA.
Yeah.
And it's a win for wrestling fans. I'm hoping it's a win for TNA as well, that like more people will get their eyeballs over there. But
Yeah.
um, yeah,
I think it's really awesome how I see it as a reaction to, and a lot of people, I'm sure everybody else does too, but AEW's Forbidden Door, right?
hmm
I mean, it's if Tony goes up one rung on a ladder, Triple H is right there. So it's like they're just going back and forth, and I love the competition. Like that is just chef's kiss for wrestling fans. Like we're really sweetening that pot. Like like just when I think it can't get better, it gets better.
I big time agree. It's we are feasting right now, big time.
Yeah,
I'm
this this is what we've all been waiting for. Like for real, it's been a freaking desert with wrestling for a long time, and in the last like 5 years, it's just exploded. It's so cool.
Yeah, and they're predicting with not just wrestling folk, but I don't know if you saw the thing like Tiffany Stratton just got signed to some like agency for Hollywood. Um
Yeah,
and they're predicting she like with WWE hitting Netflix in January 2025, wrestling is just going to explode all that much more because it's going like people who don't have access to it currently are suddenly going to. Um
sure.
and I'm so excited for that. Um,
Hmm.
and it's gonna be so interesting to see like these new fans who they gravitate towards because
Yeah.
we might see a wrestler who doesn't necessarily have a big ground like a big following right now with the traditional IWC be
Hmm.
championed. And I really am excited to see, like, I don't know, everyone fall in love with Piper Niven. I mean, I think she already
Oh,
has a,
Piper's great. Yeah.
yeah. Or like just to see who is going to get a big boost all of a sudden.
Yeah. God, that's so cool to think about. And you talking about like Tiffany Stratton getting signed to that agency, I think about how the the dark ages that was the WWE films era too, where it was like people talent was frustrated because they wanted to be stars and they wanted to break out, but their contracts were so damn ironclad that they couldn't have any flexibility to do any of those things unless it was very carefully monitored under a microscope and essentially, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like now we're gonna get to see like Tiffany Stratton in like rom coms and stuff, right? That's kind of cool.
Yeah. And of course, this is not to skip over the fact that Tiffany Stratton very recently did something deeply problematic and is
Yeah.
going to face zero consequences for it. So, um,
Hmm.
but again, staying positive, but I feel like I have to put that in there because it's a disservice otherwise.
No, yeah. Oh, that's a good, it's a good call out. it's interesting that we live at a time where that was so like, I don't know. It's it's frustrating. It makes me think of the swerve thing, right? Literally total flip end of the spectrum, right? But it makes me think of like somebody that like we're all really excited to celebrate right now, but it's tainted by some bullshit that like isn't being directly addressed. It's just trying to be attempted to sweep under the rug, where it's like, no, if you actually address these things, then that's what you do. You're supposed to face accountability for shit that you do. You don't just fucking brush it away.
Hmm. And the one thing that they both have in common, of course, is shitting on Black women.
Yep. Exactly. I was gonna say you're literally attacking the exact same marginalized group with your bullshit, and then nobody's saying anything about it.
Yeah. If we could like break that trend as a society, that would be great. Especially like I to to be quite frank, like I definitely Jade is also going to be a crossover star. Bianca
Hell
already is.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
ugh, ugh, ugh.
Yeah. It's frustrating. I forgot that we hadn't touched on the Tiffany Stratton thing yet.
Yeah, yeah. The, we'll have to do like maybe next week we'll do things in wrestling that are really upsetting us.
Ah,
Quarterly check-in.
quarterly check-in.
What are
Are
we
you
up?
mad? That
We're
reminds me of
mad.
fucking kind of reminds me of SpongeBob, where it's like, I'm mad, Patrick. Why are you mad? And he's like, I can't see my forehead.
I mean, that is something to be upset about, yes. So what do you have up next on things that you are excited about?
I am very excited. You touched on independent wrestling. Along with that, I like just the things about it, how there's stars in independent wrestling, like that concept that people never thought was possible. And not even trying to talk about Cody Rhodes again, but I mean, I'm talking about, I think about this last weekend, MLW had a pay-per-view and we saw fucking Teddy Long come out and we saw Mark Henry come out and like to support Alex Kane. Like, woo!
Hmm.
Like I get like teared up thinking about it right now because when I was watching, they air it on YouTube and I'm just sitting there watching and then I'm just like, is that fucking Teddy Long? And then Mark Henry comes out and I'm just like, I literally started crying. And it's like then Alex comes out just looking cool as shit. And I was like, Alex, how are you keeping it so fucking cool right now? This is like
Mm-hmm.
so all props to Alex. Like if you're new here, then you're like, who are you talking about? Alex Kane, former MLW champion. He is incredible. He's a friend of the podcast. One of the
Yes.
coolest dudes on not only Wrestle Talk, but just one of the coolest dudes out there in professional wrestling. We love Alex Kane. And like that was such a fucking like I literally cried. I was so happy for him. It was so dope.
Yeah, I all of that. Yeah, I figured one of us would have um Alex Kane's like momentous moment
Mm-hmm.
from this week. But yeah. And like his new look. Oh,
Yeah, I love it.
yeah.
I love it too.
Yeah.
But
Looking like a baddie.
so I love the direction and the future of professional wrestling and how it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Like like this is actually like the dopest period of time too because we are seeing like more than ever wrestlers who look like never before. Whether that's like there you see a ton of wrestlers who have like an alt persona, right? Where back in the day when Paige was my favorite wrestler and she had black hair and like that was like the edgiest thing in professional wrestling for you know what I mean? And I think about that or like AJ Lee's kind of like crazy girl gimmick and she had a very like punk rock kind of emo-ish inspired style when she'd come out to the ring.
Lita.
But now you see like queer representation, you see black representation, you see, like I said before, like a lot of alternative women, you see like so many things being done, not only like with the gear that people are wearing, but the moves they're doing, like the gimmicks, everything. It's just so fucking cool that and this wasn't even on my list, but now it's kind of turning into another item on the list where it's like I'm just like the diversity we're seeing in wrestling and like it's only going to continue to explode but it's so fucking cool like you have someone like Queen Aminata that comes out and just literally looks like a fucking goddess out and it's just like I don't know. It's just there's so much cool stuff going on right now in wrestling that like the diversity and the representation is badass.
Yeah, yeah. And I love talking about like people who come out looking badass, Thunder Rosa, and like
Yes.
what she's yeah, just and how she infuses like culture into everything she does. It's
Yeah.
uh and I love
Chef's
that
kiss.
people, yeah, I love that people are now able to bring culture into their gimmicks without making it the butt of a joke or
Yes.
automatically like, oh, you're the villain because you're not like in the US, you're not an American, or you're not like coming out dressed
Yeah.
like Hulk Hogan, you know? Um,
Yeah.
it's 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 long past due, and I'm glad that we're seeing that. You still get a little bit of the like,
Hillbilly Joe kind of bullshit.
yeah, yeah, you still get that peppered in, but
Yeah.
it's leaps and bounds from where we were even 10 years ago.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like I remember crying watching Anthony Bowens become tag team champion for like the first gay.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It was just like oh my god, in tears. But I know I started that talking about independent wrestling, going back to that because I know I jumped to a third thing, which was like the diversity in wrestling that we're seeing. But for the second thing, touching on independent wrestling more too, like obviously Cardona. I'm a huge Matt Cardona girl. Surprise if you didn't know that. I'm just kidding. Everybody knows I love Matt Cardona so much. Um, but we see he's injured right now, and he's still a draw because he's a fucking like fake GM thing of GCW. So it's like seeing that too, where it's like you can be successful and be injured now and not be shelved or not have to worry about your career ending. It's just like all of these different things you can do in wrestling. You know, I don't know. I just think it's pretty cool that all of these great talents that I can think of from every top independent promotion that are becoming household names essentially in the same way that we think of like a Cody Rhodes, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Big agree. Um, so my last one, I tried to like pick a current rivalry or like upcoming match that I'm really excited about, which I
Yeah.
had trouble like narrowing it down, but um I when I really thought about, there was one that really stands out to me, and it's not going to be a huge shocker for folks. MJ, hang on to your pants. It's Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. Um, Shocker, everyone. And just like I Damian Priest does not have the best mic skills, period. I feel like this is going to and is making him a little bit better. Um,
Yeah.
but because I mean Drew McIntyre is fire
Yes.
on that mic. Like un I would say untouchable, but like CM Punk is swinging. So
Yeah.
oh, it's so good.
Gives him a run for his money.
Oh yeah. And like it's just it's perfect for us. But like they're gonna give us such a great match, and like the stuff they're doing, it's fun. I
Yeah.
just every week I love seeing what those two are gonna do. Um Also like just the jabs and like the stuff Drew is doing on social media, like you were talking about
Mm-hmm.
before, like he is a master of spinning those plates. He like
Yes.
I feel like he's been in this game a long time, and he knows like if an injury comes up, he needs to have something else going, but he's gonna keep
Yeah.
that CM Punk plate spinning too and make killer cash off of it with merch. Like,
Totally. You know what I didn't think about earlier until you were just saying all that is like I almost want to see like a faction or something, or like at least like a tag team or like a collab or at least like a backstage segment, bare minimum, with Liv Morgan and Drew McIntyre because they are literally like the biggest haters of people online right now. Do you know what I mean? Like they're just constantly just like all over social about all their bullshit. So it'd be so funny to see them collab over all this stuff that's going
oh, he'd be so grumpy about everything, and she'd be doing that like unhinged laugh that she does. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
oh, Oh
It
yeah.
would be like, oh, like if Liv's backstage and she's just like, I just don't know how to get him to notice me. And then all of a sudden Drew comes out of the shadows, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, oh, I know how to make him notice what you're doing online, you know, because
Mhm. Set his
gotten
house on
CM Punk's the
fire.
same.
Like,
Yeah.
here's this sword.
Yeah.
People notice you then. But yeah, oh, I'm very excited for, and I even knowing, so obviously there's a really good chance that Damian Priest will not be retaining that title. And
Sure.
but if he does, it's going to be because of some bullshit that has happened. Um,
Right.
very excited about that. I'm also very excited about the possibility of Joe Hendry being involved because of the TNA and the Scotland. And oh,
Oh my God, that's funny.
I want him to do a little ditty for Drew Mack. Can you imagine what that would do? Like Joe Hendry already blew up on like the charts with I Believe in Joe Hendry. Um,
Yeah.
if he is at Clash of the Castle and does anything with Drew McIntyre, like the
Oof.
yeah, the world will be licking that man's feet. That was not initially what I was going to say. That is the cleaner version of what I initially.
Tell me offline.
Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Use your imagination, folks. Your filthy
I love
imaginations.
you filthy animal.
Hmm. But yeah, those are my three. What is your third?
I can't decide on a third. One thing I really do love about wrestling, though, I will say, is I like the direction because you and I, and the world, it seems, have complained for valid reason about AEW's women's division, and it feels like it's starting to turn itself around a little bit. If I feel that, and I'm hopeful for that. And I think about even outside of that, I was really excited to see like Willow Nightingale on the red carpet for the House of Dragon for
Mm-hmm.
AEW. So I feel like making her a representative of the brand, chef's kiss, brilliant idea. Like everybody loves Willow. I think that she is like this bubbly, energetic. Obviously, this podcast is almost like a love letter at this point to Willow Nightingale, but
Yes.
um, that was really cool. I just feel like it's expanding in so many ways. Like stat turning heel was a great decision. I think that
Mm-hmm.
like the momentum she's getting is going to be great. I think it's creating a lot of fun tension. Mariah May is a standout to me for many reasons, but I was cracking up. I was at Collision the day before Double or Nothing. So I was in Vegas and I'm sitting there and the guy behind me cracked me the fuck up because Mariah May was on some bullshit where she was putting I can't remember who she was fighting. I just remember boobs at this point. I know it sounds terrible, but I just remember that she pulled somebody into her boobs and was like doing a move with them, and then the guy like very loudly behind me was like, he's like, Mariah May is the only person that can get rid of that can get away with that divas bullshit. And it was like, yeah, 100%. Because like I stopped there and I was like, huh, like when it happened, and I was like, this would have upset me if it was anyone but Mariah May or Tony with this goofy over the top gimmick the way that it is, you know, like
Yeah.
I would sit there and think it was like regressing and like all regressing women in wrestling and all these things, but I was like, it's so perfect for everything that like Mariah May and Tony are trying to convey right now. So I don't know. You and I have obviously shared so much love for Tony and as
Oh yeah.
well. So it's like those two, like I continue to love everything that they are doing with professional wrestling too.
100%. Yeah. The Tony Storm universe was one of my backups on the list. Like just
Sure.
everything she is doing excites me.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, also Harley Cameron and Soraya, everything with them. So I just feel like there's so much like little bright spots in the women's division in AEW, and I just feel like they're getting, more time on the pay-per-views and like Sabrina and I talked about this before, but for Double or Nothing, they had the women's matches were solidified basically before anybody else's, and they were the ones that had actual solid storylines built in first before anything else, which was really cool.
Yes. Yes. It's a nice change of pace.
Let's keep it going, Tony.
Yeah. because there could have been more women's matches on that card.
Sure.
I'm always going to whine about that until forever,
You're blue in the
probably.
face. I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Well, I know. I'm trying
My
to be
dying
optimistic.
birds will probably be like, more women's matches.
If you put that on your fucking headstone, that would be so funny.
I plan on being turned into a tree, so maybe on the little plaque.
I want to be a tree too. Someone carpeted me. Just kidding.
It's a little dark. It's my area. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to sprinkle in?
Sprinkle, sprinkle. No, I'm good.
Alrighty. So those would be what we are excited about right meow today in professional wrestling.
Hell yeah.
There's a lot. And these are top things, I feel like, because there's many others that we could go on about, which thank fucking God.
Yeah.
I feel like 3 years ago, it might have been difficult to do this.
I feel like I would have just been talking about AEW the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have had some things with like somebody in WWE, a woman almost certainly, but yeah. But at any
Yeah.
rate, I will let you do the sign off since I don't ever remember it.
Oh no. Okay. In the name of our Lord and Savior, Willow
Oh,
Nightingale.
Nightingale. I know that part.
Nailed it. The babe with power.
Power voodoo.
I'm just gonna say smile anyway.
Smile anyway. Yes, 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 yes. All right. We will see you next week.